First film I watched there was The Empire Strikes Back, age 6. Life-changing experience and been a fan ever since. Next film was E.T. I think I cried from the opening credits until the end. The projection beam, if you looked up, was always tinged with cigarette smoke which hung heavily in the air.
So I'm the projectionist at the Lonsdale Alhambra Cinema, and a typical day for me is I usually go in a lot earlier than most other staff. I usually operate while there's nobody in the building, and I basically get hard drives come in. I have to ingest those into the projectors. Some films come via download, so I have to get those off the internet and then put them on the system. Then I construct them all in builds with trailers on the front and ad packs, and then schedule it all for the week. And I basically come in, do about 3 days, and if I've done my job correctly and I've programmed it all just right, it will just work itself through the weekend and any day that I'm not there. As long as the projectors are switched on in the morning, what I have programmed will happen if I've done my job correctly.
I'm the manager, I'm the cinema manager at the Alhambra in Penrith. Generally, my job takes in all aspects of the cinema, whether that's with working with staff, working on the front tills, on the counters, even cleaning screens, but also mainly managing the cinema, programming films, scheduling films throughout the week, and also projection as well.
Probably seeing Mamma Mia. I'm a big fan of Mamma Mia, and I remember going with my family to see that, and there was a massive queue coming right out the door and up the street, and just like the atmosphere was so buzzing and everyone was so happy to be there. And I remember we got salted popcorn and we were sat on the 3rd row, and yeah, it was just really good fun.
Oh, I've got many memories of going to the cinema. I can remember my first cinema trip, which was actually to the Alhambra. So I grew up in Penrith. And it was The Lion King, so the original Lion King. And I don't have much memory of the experience of being there other than the excitement. And obviously moments of terror, being scared when Mufasa is killed, but also mainly leaving the cinema and having that first experience, running to meet my dad in the middle of town to tell him how excited I was about the cinema experience.
The happiest thing was my wife and I, our first date was, of all things, to go watch Taken, the Liam Neeson action franchise. But my then girlfriend becoming my wife, just one of the greatest things ever. So and that I guess started with Taken. What a film to start your relationship with, women being kidnapped.
I screened my film The Last Witness at the Alhambra in Penrith, and it was a huge experience for me because The Last Witness was an independent film which did not get an official UK cinema release. So it was thanks to independent cinemas like the Alhambra that I got to see my film on the big screen. And to then have a question and answer session after the screening was a bonus, because not only could I sit and watch the film with an audience, but I could get their reaction straight away. So for a filmmaker, that's priceless, and I'll always be grateful to the Alhambra for giving me that opportunity.
My father was an acoustic engineer working for the Rank organisation in the early 1950s and serviced and repaired cinema equipment in North Lancashire and Cumberland. I remember as a young boy visiting the projection box in the Alhambra whilst he did some work.
We've got hand sanitizer pots everywhere. There's big plastic, transparent plastic covering in front of us on the counters. We still have to wear masks, but we also have like plastic visors as well. You don't have to wear a visor and a fabric mask, you know, it's whichever. And then people coming in, they have to wear masks. They have to keep the masks on in the screen unless they're eating, obviously. But once they're finished eating, mask has to go back on. They have to be social distanced, so a screen that can sit 150 people can now only seat 75-ish, if you're lucky. And if someone, I guess, comes by themselves and they sit in an area that would be maybe set out for 4, that then means you can't sell around this one person, and it has been an absolute nightmare. It's utterly horrible.
So if we're talking about cinema in terms of cinemas, bricks and mortar buildings, I think there has been a huge shift, and we're currently in this kind of flux situation where everything is changing so quickly, and that's down to COVID, but it's also down to issues that were there already before COVID happened, and this pandemic has kind of thrust everyone forward in a really short amount of time. So places have to look to progression, how they're going to deal with new technology. And also, I think cinema is really a hybrid form of online and traditional cinema exhibition. During this time, modern films have set up an online system where you can rent a film online, and half of the money goes to the independent cinema of your choice. So that's really helpful. That's kind of a good step forward.
In a town like Penrith, it will, I think, remain the same. After COVID, once everyone's had their jabs and all that, I am confident we in Penrith will return to the business that we had before COVID. So everyone who works in the cinema has a ghost story of some description. Everyone's been creeped out by something in there, because it is a big old building, and I don't believe in ghosts. But nevertheless, I do have a ghost story. I don't know what it was, I don't know how to explain it. It was a very quiet day. Screen 1, the ads and trailers had started, and there was only about 3, maybe 4 people in there, and I had served all of them. But there was someone else with me downstairs, and I suddenly remembered that although I'd cleaned number 1, I'd forgotten something in the toilets. So I had to run upstairs, and I ran through screen 1, and as I went through, I did notice everybody I had sold a ticket for was there in that screen. Went through the screen, down the stairs, the other side to the toilet, and there was a strange smell in the toilet, like a coppery kind of blood smell. And the cubicle, there's only the one cubicle, and that was locked. And I thought, well, there can't be anyone in here, because I've seen the people in the screen that I've sold the tickets to already. And I actually, because it was strange, there was a smell, and I crouched down, and I could see underneath the cubicle door, there was some feet, and they were the filthiest, dirtiest Converse I've ever seen. And then there was this smell, and I thought, right, well, someone is in here, fair enough. And I went back upstairs, through the screen, once again, there's everyone that's supposed to be here, went down, and I was like, is it conceivable that you've sold another ticket? You sold a ticket maybe before I started selling the other tickets. And they were like, no, you sold all the tickets. And I checked the thing, I'd sold all the tickets. I ran back up, through the screen, same amount of people, ran downstairs, there was nobody in that toilet. Dirty Converse and a coppery blood smell bothers me to this day.
The whole cinema singing, more like bellowing. To the red car and the blue car had a race. All red car wants to do is stuff his face. I think it was the Milky Way ad. Ushers going crazy with torches shouting, "What you doing?" That was 1988.
That town wants that cinema, and they have fought for it in the past. They almost closed, and because a company wished to buy the building, not because we were a failing business, they just wanted to buy the building, and the landlords were like, that's fine. But the town came to our aid, the town stopped. And That was fantastic. The stuff at this point in time that, if COVID hadn't happened, would be old news now. We're still waiting on the new Bond film. There was a new Top Gun film, Top Gun Maverick. That hasn't come. There was a new Fast and the Furious. That didn't come. It's just loads of stuff. Some stuff got released. Warner Brothers were ballsy. They released Tenet, the Christopher Nolan film, and Wonder Woman 1984, and I mean, they did okay. You know, people are now looking more to watch films at home because that's what they've been used to for the last year, and that is depressing.
But I think there's got to be, rather than thinking that online streaming is going to be the death of cinema, I think really there's always going to be an appetite for cinema.
In the cinema, you've gone out and you've committed to it and you've made that choice. There's no turning back necessarily once you've got there. And films should be watched on the big screen, as big as you can get. Steven Spielberg thinks that this won't kill cinema. Cinema will return, and I hope he's right.
I think there's always going to be that appetite for traditional exhibition.
They'll come back. They want us. They absolutely want us. They want that cinema. But as I say, I don't have a clue what the future holds for the rest of the cinema-going world. But this little tiny nook in Cumbria, I could see it. I could see it lasting. I hope.